President Malpass, it's a good day to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Sarah.
So what is your expectation right now as far as the extent and the scale of the crisis for the Russian economy, given the sanctions announced?
I can mostly comment on Ukraine. With regard to Russia, you see the direct impact from the ruble weakening. That makes it harder to finance, and it also often means inflation. But it's early to say. It's a fast-moving crisis. As far as Ukraine, one of the issues is the infrastructure itself, which is being harmed in Ukraine. That has long-lasting repercussions, and also the refugee flow, which is substantial. I understand that the UN is meeting on that. So one thing I should note is they're a lead agency, and the NATO is leading, and the US in various ways as far as the response to the crisis.
So given what's happening and the unfolding nature of this, and the fact that the scale of the damage, as you mentioned, in Russia is going to be large, not just for the ruble, how do you look at the economic impact of all of this globally?
The near term is the direct, and I heard your conversation before with Mike Santelia about the rise in food prices, the inflation issues. How does the world respond in terms of liquidity to it? I think supply matters. How quickly can supply be increased around the world to make up for the outflows, the reduced outflows from Ukraine itself, and even from Russia, given the sanctions. So those are all issues. One thing I would note is global markets are often resilient, and the global economy is resilient, so it will adjust to those. The more immediate problem is the direct losses in Ukraine. How can that liquidity be restored or be offset? We're looking at operations ourselves within the World Bank, and we coordinate with the IMF on that.
David, I wonder, when you look at the conditions now as a result of these sanctions and other moves in Russia, you're looking at the kinds of dynamics, whether it's the plunging currency and really hardship for the population, that the World Bank, the IMF would actually take a lot of interest in trying to backstop a country or do what it can in a humanitarian way to help. Is that on the table? Anything like that, those considerations?
Not for Russia, and I should note that we haven't lent to Russia since the 2014 Crimea takeover by Russia. So an issue will be, how does Russia itself rebuild or recover, and also whether there's disinvestment from the world. That becomes an important issue in the longer term of what are the consequences from this immediate situation, crisis.
Can we talk about Europe specifically, President Malpass, and what an energy shock there would look like if those exports are fully cut off from Russia to Europe?
I don't want to speculate on a cutoff. I don't know that that's going on at all. Europe uses a lot of energy from Russia. There are multiple pipelines, and there's also pipelines from on the southern side of Europe, and even the availability of natural gas coming through the Suez Canal and from the Eastern Mediterranean. There's a lot of energy in the world. It's a question of how do you adjust to a sudden change in circumstances.